of you guys, the Curious Owl here, and today I have my January 2026 TBR. So it's been a minute since I've actually sat down and produced any kind of video other than the Battle of the Bookish announcement video that I did a couple weeks ago, but I'm ready to be back. I'm ready to be posting again now that I'm done with my master's course, and I am so freaking excited. I'm still doing student teaching right now, but really the only thing I have to focus on is finishing the requirements for my apprenticeship, and then I'm done with all of that. So things are a lot more lax right now for me in terms of workload, which is really, really awesome. So I'm very excited to get back into filming regularly and doing a bunch of other things. One of which being starting up a brand new TBR board game that I am so excited to share. This TBR board game is called Roll for TBR, and it is a Dungeons and Dragons inspired board game that also is kind of a mix of like Candyland almost, or I don't really know what exactly it would be a mashup of. It's got the colored squares like Candyland. That's the most I can give you. But basically, this is a TBR board game where we get to essentially figure out, based on the class and the race of our character that we determine at the beginning of the board game, basically how our adventure goes. So each of the different colored squares ascribe to different things, which I will list them right here for you. Basically though, when we land on one of these squares, something kind of happens that brings up a prompt of sorts that essentially from there we have to figure out not only what the prompt for reading is, but then we have to roll to figure out if we either pass that objective or if we fail and have some kind of repercussions because of that. Now that could be that our enemy that we are facing off against currently is going to attack us, or it could mean that we lose hit points, or essentially if we do really well in the objectives we can bump up our stats, or we can earn an advantage against an enemy, things of that nature. Each card's a little different based on what exactly we pull and what type of card it is. So the real working of this game is gonna make more sense as I play it, so I'm going to basically just roll the footage of me doing the board game for the very first time so that you guys can get kind of an idea of how the game fully works. We'll first roll for our race and our class of our character, which will give us certain power-ups or certain abilities for the course of the game. So that will help us with determining like either different prompts that we're going to use, or if we get to double up on prompts, or if we get certain advantages against the enemy, anything like that. So let's just roll the footage for the TBR game before we get too far ahead of ourselves.
Alright, so we're going to get started by basically figuring out first our class for our character and our race, which are going to have certain skills that will be helpful with getting this game going. So first we're going to roll for our class, which is a number 4, and that is going to be the rogue character. So for a rogue, they have a special skill of sneak attack, which basically deals 1d6 of additional damage for each book that is read. So in the next TBR video, we're going to do an epilogue that basically is going to show all the damage that is dealt to the monster that we have and see if we defeat it with the books that I have set for the TBR. I'm going to basically build the TBR, read as much as I can, and then in the epilogue of the next video, basically, we will see how all of that played out and whether or not I defeat the monster or if it defeats me. We shall see. But for now, we know that we are going to be a rogue. Okay, and now we are going to roll for our race of our character, which is number 5, which is going to be the half-elf. So I will be a rogue half-elf. And the special skill for half-elves is 2 worlds, where for one book, I can use it to count for 2 prompts. So when I'm building my TBR, this will come in handy, and this won't have anything really to do with the epilogue part. This is more so just going to help with building my TBR in general. Okay, so across the screen, you will see the stats of my character currently in terms of strength, dexterity, constitution, intelligence, and wisdom. And as we go, things will get progressively either better or worse. We will see, but hopefully it's going to be better. So if there's any point where certain skills get leveled up or anything, then we will go from there. Okay, so we are going to get started. So let's see what our first roll is going to end up being.
a 7. And I have my little selenite here as my counter. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, this is orange, which is a wisdom card. Your companion collapses from poison. I have to roll a 12 or higher, and if I win it, I get +4 to any nature and medicine techniques, which I believe is under the wisdom category. And if I lose, nothing happens, which is good. I just apparently lose a companion. And the prompt that I have is read a book that involves saving someone. Okay, let's see what we do. I need a 12 or higher. Let's see if I can do it. And I can add my wisdom modifier, I believe, to this, which is +1. Okay, that is a 17. Yes, that is a 17, and I will show you for proof. Okay, so then I add my +1 modifier, so that's an 18, so already with the roll I would have won, but it's good to know that my modifiers come in handy. So I get +4 to my wisdom, which is fantastic. Okay, so that should bring up my wisdom to 17 with a +3 modifier. Okay, put that at the bottom of the wisdom deck, and we're going to roll for our next thing. 3. 1, 2, 3. That's a yellow. That's dexterity. During a tense negotiation, you discreetly try to palm a cursed coin into someone's pocket. Again, I have to roll a 12 or higher, and for this one, I get to basically heal all hit points if I lost any, which I don't. But if I lose 8 hit points, which is almost all of my hit points. And for this, I have to read a book that I will then unhaul. Ooh, that's going to be a tough one. Ooh, that's going to be really tough. But let's see if I can get past this. Come on, 12 or higher, 12 or higher. Let's go. Damn it, that's a 9. Oh, shoot. Okay, that means I'm down to 1 hit point. Oh, hell. Oh, bloody hell. That is not good. If I lose all of my hit points, I have to go back to the beginning and scrap my entire TBR that I have thus far. And, I'm not looking forward to that, considering that I am only that far on the board already. Number 3. 15. Okay, here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Oh gosh, it's an attack. Oh god, it's an attack. Oh no. Okay, so for these I have a prompt that I have to basically read something that fits that prompt, and it will go towards my attack, specifically page points and additional points for hitting my monster. If I could get this to focus, I could tell you what it is. Format I don't read often, so this will probably be something like ebook or maybe manga, something like that. Something I don't read as often as I do like a physical book or an audio book specifically. Now the attack cards I will actually place to the side so that I have a remembrance, basically a memento of the fact that I do have an attack that I have to make and what exactly it's going to go for. Okay, let's go for roll number 4, I think. A 2. 1, 2. Okay, so that's gold. So that means I just earned some gold. It's a reprieve from any prompts, any attacks, anything like that. And I've earned 52 gold. Nice. All right, here we go. Let's see what we can get. A 4. Okay, here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Green. That is nature medicine, which kind of falls in the wisdom category, but it's slightly different for what my purposes are for this game. The sky darkens unnaturally fast. I have to roll a 5 or higher to avoid an enemy attack, or I get attacked by the enemy. And I have to read a book with dark colors. Okay. Alright. Please give me a higher than a 5. Oh, 5 or higher. Come on, come on, come on. Yes, a 7. Okay, thank God. Phew. Whew. Getting by the skin of my teeth here, folks. Here we go. This is, heart palpitate. Alright, here we go. Next roll, next roll. 14. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Okay, blue is Arcana.
So let's see what this one says. A swirling portal crackles with chaotic energy. Gale, anyone? Roll 10 or higher, and if I can do this, I can jump ahead 10 spaces without having to pull a card, or the enemy attacks. Because it very well could be a portal where the enemy is using it. And I have to read a book that has portal magic. Come on, 10 or higher. Yes, I got a 10. Okay. Whoo, Nelly. We are getting by. We are getting by. All right, here we go. Moving along. 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Ooh, some gold. I'll take it. Oh, it's like the least amount I could possibly get, but I'll take it. It's 3 gold. 13. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Okay, gray, which is intelligence. Mural in a forgotten temple depicts a mythic battle. I have to roll a 7 or higher, and for this I can earn an extra point to my intelligence. And I have to read a fantasy. Oop, okay, there it goes. Okay, 15. I'll take it. That works perfectly. So I get to add 1 to my intelligence, which brings my intelligence up to 6, which brings my modifier up to a -2. So we're slowly making our way. You know, not the most intelligent of rogues. Like, they're kind of, you know, new to the game. But it is what it is. Right, here we go. Next roll. 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Another silver or gray, which is intelligence. All right. A stone door is covered in shifting symbols. Oh, roll a 15 or higher. Ooh, but I get 150 gold. Okay. Well, at least this is a decent one. And then the prompt is to read a mystery. All right, let's see if we get 150 gold. Let's go. Nope. But at least nothing bad happens, so I'll take it. Okay, let's see what our next adventure is going to be. A natural 1. Okay, well, Arcana it is. Alright, the air trembles as wild magic ripples through the battlefield. Ooh, if I get a 13 or higher, I get to attack the enemy, but nothing bad happens if I don't roll a 13, which is good. Read a book with a magic power surge on the cover. Okay, that's a pretty good prompt. I like that. So let's see if I can attack the enemy for the first time this game. So that is actually going to be outside of whatever prompts that I get for the red cards. This is like in-game, can I beat the monster kind of thing. Ooh, nat 20. Holy crap. So I get to attack the enemy. That's awesome. Okay. Okay, so how this is going to work is that I have the character sheet for my monster, which is the Copper Wormling for this month, or for this game at least. They have an AC of 16, which means they have a pretty high armor class, but they only have 22 hit points. So they're technically kind of easy to kill if you can get better than a 16 on your D20 roll. So let's see if I can beat get a 16 or higher to attack this Wormling. 18! Oh my gosh, that's an 18. And then with that, I add on my strength modifier, which is 2, so that's a dirty 20. What? Oh my gosh. Okay, so with my rogue, I get an additional d6 of damage for each book I read. So even if I beat the monster in the game before having read anything, it kind of goes toward that, you know? Especially if, like, maybe I'm teetering by the time I get to the castle. Oh, okay, so let's see what I do. Okay, so for a rogue, we're not doing anything fancy. We're just going for a straight attack roll. And for a rogue, you get to roll a d8. So 2 hit points. So each of these boxes is worth 5. So I'm gonna color in about half of the first box. So we have done 2 points of damage. We have 20 to go to beat the Copper Wormling. Woohoo! That's a 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Another Arcana. The hallway ahead seems too perfect. I have to roll an 8 or higher to avoid an enemy attack, or I'm dead because I have 1 hit point left. Oh no. and I have to read a book with a door or hallway on the cover. Oh boy. Okay, come on. Don't let me down now, dice. 17. Oh, thank God. Oh, thank God. Okay. I'll take it. I'll take it. I'm happy with that. Okay, now that that heart attack is past us, let's do our next roll, I guess. It's a 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Intelligence. A guardian spirit poses a riddle blocking the party's path. If I can get a 10 or higher, I earn 3 points to my wisdom, but then otherwise nothing happens, which is good. Read a book that involves communicating with the dead. Okay, that one's going to be interesting, but I have a couple things in mind, so we'll go with that. But let's see if we can get those wisdom points, which would be kind of overkill at this point for me since I'm already at a 17, but it is what it is. 5. Okay, so nothing bad happened, which is good. Alright, I don't even know what roll we're on anymore at this point. I just know this game is intensely getting more and more for my TBR, which is fine. I do have the ability to use one book for 2 prompts, but it's only for 1, so I'll have to be really smart. But let's see what we get now. 9. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Purple, which is charisma. You're caught sneaking into the noble's estate, and the guard demands to know what you're doing. I have to roll a 15 or higher and either get 300 gold or lose and have to start over. And I had to read a book with a weapon on the cover. Oh no. Oh no. Come on, 15. Oh no, it's an 11. No. Oh my God, that is so awful. Okay. Okay. Well, so here's the thing. I thought this would be something where I would just scrap my whole TBR, but I feel like that's too much for me to do. Honestly, I don't have the energy to do that. So I think what we're going to do is we're just going to say we'll call it there. I still have to add on the prompt for charisma, but we'll leave the TBR there, and I'm just going to have to, ooh, I have an idea. I'll basically scrap the character that I have, and it'll have to be a different character next time. And we're still going to have to fight off the copper wormling, who is a little damaged. He's got a couple scratches, but he's otherwise doing pretty alright. So, we'll go from there. We'll do next month's where it's a little bit different. So going in mostly chronological order of what I got as for prompts and things, the first one I'm going to do is a book that you have to save someone in the book. And for this, I'm going with book number 5 in the Stormlight Archive, Wind and Truth by Brandon Sanderson. I do plan on reading both this and Rhythm of War in the month already, but I figured this was a great opportunity to throw this in for that prompt. You don't have to read the prompts in order necessarily, but I'm going to present the books that I will be reading this month for the board game in that chronological order, if that makes sense. I also will be using this for a secondary prompt using my half-elf ability, which is being able to use 2 prompts for 1 book. And that second prompt is going to be the fantasy prompt that I pulled later on in the game. The next prompt we got was a book that I will likely be unhauling, and that is going to be The Perfect Stranger by Megan Miranda. This is a book I've had for ages. It's a mystery domestic thriller, basically, and I don't really know whether or not I will keep it after I read it. I'm kind of being a little more picky in terms of what exactly it is that I want to keep, in terms of like whether they're going to have a rereadability kind of thing. This one I'm really not certain of, and I do think it was very likely that it will be very middling for me, and so therefore I will then unhaul it because it is probably something I will not read again. Typically with domestic thrillers like this, unless for some reason it blows me out of the water in terms of my expectations and my thoughts on it, usually they're pretty much slated to scurry on out of my library. I forgot to mention that
any of the books I complete over the course of the month will give me abilities to use for hit points against the enemy. So for instance, if I complete Wind and Truth, if it's ascribed to a certain attack prompt, like one of the cards I pull from my deck, then it will get that prompt point as well as the page point. But otherwise it's just going to be page point based, and so the amount of points I would use for attacking will go toward that no matter what book it is, as long as I have it completed in the month. For the attack card though that we did get, the prompt was a format I don't read often, and typically that is manga. I don't read manga very often unless I'm really called to do it for some reason. But for this one, I decided to go a little bit outside my comfort zone and pick a manga I've been meaning to read for a while that I wasn't sure I was going to really like, and that is Jujutsu Kaisen Volume 1 by Gege Akutami. I don't really know much about it other than the fact that this person here is our main character and they get some kind of magical powers, which involves this eye in their hand. I don't really know, but I for some reason was never really like fully drawn to this series, but I have a feeling that once I get into it, I'll probably like it enough to continue with it. But manga is definitely one of those areas that I like to read when I read from it, but I don't read it as often as I do other types of books. So this one, when I get to actually complete it, will not only earn the page point hit points, but also will earn a boost for having completed a prompt from one of the prompt cards on my board. I was wrong earlier. Wind and Truth is going to be counting for the dark colors prompt, not the fantasy prompt for my board. We'll get into the fantasy prompt a little bit later, but I was definitely very wrong. It's counting for the dark colors prompt that I pulled after the attack card. The next prompt that I got was Portal Magic, a book that involves some kind of portal magic. And for this, I'm picking a middle grade book that I remember seeing a lot when I was younger, but never got around to reading it. I've had the first one for a while, and I'm actually really excited to get into it considering it does have portal magic in it, and that is Fablehaven by Brandon Mull. I had heard about this series a lot when I was in like late elementary, early middle school, I think, for the first time, and I never got around to reading it, but I know that it is a favorite for a lot of people, especially when it comes to middle grade fantasies. So we're gonna try it and see what I think of it. There's quite a few books in the series, and so I'm hoping that it's gonna be really fun and I'm gonna really want to continue with it later on. Next prompt was the fantasy prompt, and for this, like I said, I was mistaken. It's not Wind and Truth I'm picking for this one. It's actually gonna be book 4 in the Stormlight Archive, Rhythm of War. I have it currently tabbed for 100 pages basically, so that I have a little bit more of a set schedule of how I'm reading these books, both this one and Wind and Truth. But basically, I will be finally reading this one again for the second time and then getting into Wind and Truth. And I'm really excited because I really did like Rhythm of War when I first read it a few years ago when it was first released. And I am very excited to actually continue on with Wind and Truth because we're getting close to the end of the first arc of the Stormlight Archive for the first time. And I can't wait to see how the whole thing's going to shape out. And I don't remember a lot really from having read this before. I don't have a lot of memory of what happens in this. I just remember that I really did enjoy it. So I'm excited to be able to actually grasp onto the content again for what will probably feel like the very first time. This prompt that I pulled was the mystery prompt. Now for this, I'm kind of basically genre bending a little bit because this is a mystery series, but it's very fantasy heavy and is a favorite of one of my personal friends from high school. And he has been wanting me to read the series for a long time since we actually used this as inspiration for a Battle of the Bookish team a handful of years ago, and that is the first book in the Dresden Files by Jim Butcher, Stormfront. This is a fantasy mystery series that follows a character who is basically like a detective in this magical, fantastical world, and I have heard nothing but good things about this series, especially from that friend that recommended it to me, and I am very excited because I heard that it's very action-packed, it's very fun, and while it is a longer series in terms of like many installments, it's a fast read, it's very fun and easy to fly through, so I can't wait to finally be able to get started with it. Next prompt was to have a power surge on the cover, whether that is some kind of magic, some kind of electrical something. There has to be some kind of surge of power on the book. And for this, I decided to go with Infinity Alchemist by Kacen Callender. I have had this for a while. I have this beautiful autographed edition of it that was autographed by Kacen. but I never got around to reading this. I heard some pretty mixed things about this series in general compared to Kacen's other works that they've had, but I'm still excited to read it. I wanted to read it for a while, and it's about damn time that I do so. The next prompt was to read a book that had either a door or a hallway on the cover, and for this I decided to go with The Fine Print by Lauren Ascher. There is very, very tinily right there the door to this castle-like thing. I'm pretty sure it's not really a castle, but it is called the Dreamland Billionaires, and so I feel like that there's going to be some kind of like amusement park thing aspect to it, because this does deal with a character who owns and runs a theme park. So I think this is supposed to be like the theme park kind of thing, very similar to like Disney or something like that, but this has been a staple when it comes to the more romance-based reading that there has been a resurgence of in the last handful of years. This has been one that has been highly recommended to me, and so I'm very excited to finally get started with it. The next prompt that I pulled was a book that involves communicating with the dead. Now for this, I have another TBR veteran I have had for a long time that I'm finally able to use for something, and that is The Bone Witch by Chupeco. I've heard really good things about this series, and without getting too much into it, essentially there is a main character who is called a bone witch, and so she's able to communicate with the dead. That's basically all I know about it, and there might be something to do with like a familial aspect of like saving a family member, but I don't really know for certain, so I'm interested to see how this is gonna go. And the final prompt that I ended up pulling was a book that it has a weapon on the cover, and for this I decided to go with a sequel to a series I started in 2025 that I really enjoyed the first book of, and was very excited that I immediately got the rest of the books in the series, and it's a very fun romantasy series, and that is the second book in the Hellbent series, My Demon Hunter by Aurora Ascher. This is actually following a character that we met in the last book that was kind of a villain, but you saw by the end of it that he kind of turned things around, and his entire motivation for things changed by the end of that first book, and so now this is his book, and I'm very excited to see how this is going to turn out, because I love the way that this was very fun and goofy, but also very lighthearted and also very serious at times, and so just really enjoyed the first book. If you haven't read My Funny Demon Valentine by Aurora Ascher, which is the first book in this series, definitely check it out. It's a very fun, goofy little rom-com-y romantasy, and it's great. I highly recommend. Okay, so now we're gonna get into the rest of the books I'm planning on reading, starting with the books I plan on reading for the Battle of the Bookish round that we have going on in January. If you missed the announcement video for this, I will leave a link down in the description, as well as our Discord, so that you can join in if you choose to at any point in the month. Totally fine. But basically, we are doing a TV show inspired team-based readathon, essentially. So you have teams like Team Scrub, which I am basically running. You have Team Gilmore Girls, you have Team Friends, and you have Team New Girl. All of the teams have different prompts that they get to use specifically for their team, as well as a handful of normal everyday prompts that everyone gets to use, and they're all basically trying to see which team can get the most amount of points, or the highest average of points, basically. So I'm going to start off with the general prompts that everyone gets to use, and then I'll get into my specific Scrubs team prompts. The first book that I am going to be reading for is going to be for the LGBTQ based prompt, which is to read a book by an LGBTQ based author or have those types of characters. And for this I'm going with What If It's Us by Becky Albertalli and Adam Silvera. This is an ebook that I currently have, and essentially this is going to work because the main characters are LGBTQ. They are gay, I believe, and also we have Adam Silvera, who I believe is gay, and we have Becky Albertalli, who is bi. Next we have the Just Read prompt, which just basically means read something. Read anything, it will count for it. It doesn't matter what it is, but for this I'm going to be going with Rhythm of War as my Just Read prompt. The next prompt is the TBR Veteran, and this is for a book that's been on your TBR for at least a year, and this one has definitely been on the TBR for over a year because it's been over a year since it came out, and I have yet to read it, and that is going to be Wind and Truth by Brandon Sanderson. The next book is to read a book with pictures, and this can be anything from a children's book to manga to comic books to graphic novels, or if it has pictures throughout the book and it's a normal novel, or if it's a mixed media novel, that all counts within that. But for this I'm going to go with the manga that I decided to go with, and that is Jujutsu Kaisen Volume 1. And the final general prompt is to reread a book, and for this I decided to go with another manga that is a personal favorite that I've been meaning to finish the series of, and I got pretty far into it, but I never fully finished it, but that is Haikyu by Haruichi Furudate. I'm going to be starting back at volume 1 and see how far I can get in the course of the month. Or I may just end up reading the whole series. Who knows? So the next prompt is starting off the Scrubs team prompts, and the first one is to read a book that someone else picks. Now, this one was in particular picked by the chat of a Twitch streamer that I follow. Her name is Allie. She's been a booktuber at Hardback Hoarder for a long time, or I don't know if she changed her YouTube name as well, because her Twitch channel is called With Malice. I don't know if she changed it over on YouTube or not, but either way, I was in her streams over the course of winter break here, and I asked chat to basically help me pick out a book, and everyone in there talks about Dungeon Crawler Carl because it's one of Allie's favorite series, and so they're like, have you read Dungeon Crawler Carl yet? And I said, no, but I have the first one, so we're going to be reading Dungeon Crawler Carl by Matt Diniman for this prompt. The next Scrubs prompt is to read a book that is both fun but also intense at times, and for this I decided to go Black Girls Must Be Magic by Jayne Allen. I read the first book in this series, Black Girls Must Die Exhausted, here a couple years ago, and it was so heavy and hard-hitting, but still very lighthearted at times too. But this is a series that deals with a woman who essentially has got a lot going on, and she's a Black woman, and there's a lot of discussion about, you know, Black women in society and how, you know, they are viewed in terms of work as working women, and specifically how they have all these expectations placed upon them that they literally must die exhausted. They can't die any other way, as the name implies of the first book. But this one is to piggybacking off of the first book, where there are some things that had happened where we're continuing on that storyline. And I don't really want to spoil it for anybody, because I definitely feel like this is, especially if you're looking for BIPOC authors, a great series to get involved with. And like I said, it's very fun at times, but it's very intense and heavy hitting for such a very small book. There's a lot of really hard hitting moments that really help you to understand, as someone who is not a part of that part of society, part of that culture, just how intense things can be from that side of things. And it's something that I highly recommend, especially if you are looking, again, like I said, for a BIPOC author or a BIPOC series. The next prompt is to have a book that has a mentor-mentee kind of scenario going on. It doesn't matter if it's romantic or not. There just has to be some kind of that dynamic in a story. And for this, I decided to go with The Fine Print by Lauren Ascher, because if I do understand correctly, the main characters are employer, employee, mentor, mentee, that kind of thing. So that seemed to have worked out pretty well in my favor. Then for a book that has a questionable romance, so a romance that you're not really sure whether or not there's good intentions behind it, or if it's going to work out favorably, anything like that. For this, I decided to go with My Demon Hunter by Aurora Ascher, because the main male character, I'm a little concerned of what his expectations and his intentions going into a relationship with the main female character are. Because, quite honestly, if you read the first book and witnessed this character's antics, it's pretty questionable what their intentions are going into any kind of a relationship. And finally, we have a book that makes you hopeful for the sequel. So I'm really hedging my bets on this one, because I'm really thinking that I'm going to like it, because I've heard some really good things about it. And that's going to be Lightlark by Aster. I'm really hedging my bets on this one, that I'm hoping is going to be really good, that makes me hopeful for the sequel. But yeah, I don't know. We're gonna see. I would really like to be able to like this one, because I've heard such good things about it, but I'm also a little nervous at the same time that I'm maybe setting myself up for failure a little bit. Now, for those of you that have been following me for a minute will know I did start a big TBR project series. Don't worry, I'm still continuing with that, but the last episode that I did when I had finished the Secrets of the Immortal Nicholas Flamel series, I had said that I was going to next read the Stormlight Archive, and by golly, though it's been almost 6 months since I started that video, these books will hopefully be finished by the end of January, and I will be getting that video out for you guys. Literally, it has been so many months since I started this series. It was back in like August that I did it, so we'll see. I am planning on getting both Rhythm of War and Wind and Truth done before the end of the month, with their subsequent videos coming out for TikTok and posts for Instagram, things like that coming out sometime in the month. But pray for me. Pray for me that I finish both of these in the time frame that I want. Like I said, I have them sticky noted to where I have like 100 pages a day that I try to read of these. But good God, these are monsters. Pray for me. Okay, so this is more or less what I've got going on this month, if I can even stand up so I can do this. But yeah, this is more or less what I'm reading. I have one ebook that is not currently in this stack that I will be reading as well. But this is the TBR for the month of January. Have I set myself up for failure? Quite possibly. Have I decided that I don't give two shits and decided I just want to read what I want to read? Also yes. So pray for me, y'all. But anyway, hope you guys have a great start to your year. I'm so excited for what this year is going to be for me specifically because, like I said, I've got the last of my student teaching for the rest of the school year, and then starting next fall, I will be a certified teacher and be living my best life as a special education teacher, and I'm so beyond thrilled. So yeah, I'm very excited. I'm excited for all these reads too, in one way or another. So yeah, but anyway, let me know what you guys think of the TBR board game I've created. Let me know what your thoughts are if you have any questions. Again, when it comes to the hit points and stuff, we will go over that when it comes to the next TBR video I come out with in February, and we'll see kind of how all those work out. But I am very excited to see how you guys think about this because I've worked so hard on this game. I've worked so hard to make it as fun and accessible as possible for everybody. Thank you guys so much for joining me in this video. If you guys did enjoy it, please do give it a big thumbs up. And if you haven't already and you'd like to be and would like to see more content like this, go ahead and hit that button down below and subscribe to become an owlet in our flock. And I will see all of you guys in my next video. Bye guys!